Okay, so this is HBR on mental toughness. This article is called How to Bounce Back from Adversity. It's by Margolis Stoltz in 2010. It's talking about losing at work, like loss at work, and stories of challenges at work. I think of healthcare. We have amazing amounts of emotional distress, burnout in healthcare right now. Surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, pharmacists were very high, nurses were very high, residents were very high. Neurology was the highest profession of burnout. That's what I am. That was very concerning. But what they suggested is be very deliberative, just really focus on the facts. Don't be reactive or reflexive to the situation. We're going to try to take a challenge from negative to positive. So we really want to be very definitive in how we define implicit beliefs of failure. So what is failure truly? Or is it just that we tried something, it was a challenge, and it didn't go the way we want it? Is that truly failure? Because most likely we did learn something along the way. I can think of, grants I've written or things where I didn't get the grant, but I did learn how to write a grant. I learned more about writing. I met new people. I dug into the research, so I learned new things. And they're defining resiliency as responding quickly and constructively to the challenge. So what they said, it can be hard because fear, anger, confusion will drive us. And when we feel a lot of that fear, anger, confusion, we want to blame others. So that's a lot of times that attribution bias. We attribute failure more so to others than to ourselves. If something goes well, it's us. If something goes wrong, it's the system. So we want to be careful about attribution bias and a lot of things. So the challenge also is to watch our narrative. So are we truly defining our belief of failure? So watch our narrative that we're telling ourselves and watch the emotions that we may be stuck in, like fear, anger, confusion. Because we have to put our brain into a positive state, such as, hey, why did this challenge not work? Where are my opportunities? Where are my growth opportunities? Because if we find those, it turns on our thinking level of our brain, our prefrontal cortex, and we all do better when that is highly turned on, right? So negative emotions will keep us stuck in the problem. So we have to watch the narrative that we're telling ourselves, like, hey, this didn't go well, but now I'm going to try X, Y, and Z. Here's my next steps. So number one, they recommend to start with analysis. So you use response-oriented thinking, response over reflection, reflective anger. So we want to make sure we're trying to get out of the anger, fear, confusion. So we use response-oriented thinking. Number two, we have a plan of action. So we understand the size and scope of the situation, and we find where we have control. Where can I improve now? What can I do? What are some action steps I can take? So we look for our control points. So I work in healthcare. I can't control all of healthcare, but I'm on national committees to try to work on healthcare. I've written some grants to try to help residents. So I do what I can to put some control towards this big system of healthcare, but I certainly can't control every part of healthcare, right? So number one is analysis. Number two is a plan of action. In your plan of action, you look for points that you actually can control. Where can you have impact? Number one is we always have impact on our personal actions. We can keep ourselves in healthy state. In Brain Fresh, which is in my company, we talk a lot about brain priming, how to get ready for a busy work week, busy meeting, a big presentation. There's ways that we can brain prime so that we put ourselves in the best situation, and they recommend that as well, is that in order for us to have impact, we can change our personal actions. And then we can consider the breadth of change that we actually have control over, which is actually probably larger than we think. And then what is the duration that we're going to put toward this? So we look at our points of control, the impact that we can do, which are personal actions. We can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. What's the breadth of change that's possible? And then how long can we put towards this? Like we say, I'm going to give this, a week. I'm going to try X, Y, and Z this week. I'm going to try this for 3 months. We can talk about how long and what we're going to do. And then we can be very specific about it. We can say, what specific actions or aspects of this are ours? Where are we going to collaborate? And then they also recommend visualizing. So they recommending specifying exactly where our actions are, where our control is, collaborating with others, because learning from others is a very positive sense for the brain. It's a positive setting for the brain. So we want to put our brain in a positive setting. So putting a growth team around you, we for sure do that within our Brain Fresh program. So we have a community in Brain Fresh that we put learners around each other. So that's really super important. So if you don't have a growth team, like people that are your accountability partners, excuse me, you definitely need to do that. And they also recommending visualizing if it goes well. What does it look like? What do I really want from this? Okay. So this article, How to Bounce Back from Adversity, it recommends watching out for those negative emotions, watching out how you define failure, responding with analysis with the facts, and then a plan of action. And in the plan of action, you're really understanding the size and scope of where you have control, impact, your breadth of challenge that you're going to take, and then how long you're going to do it. And within there, you're really going to be very specific, and you're going to find some people to collaborate with, and then visualize success. Okay. So you may want to check out my Leadership Lift program. So it's a monthly membership for leaders so that we can, share this kind of information regularly, put it into play, make sure it's, in your matrix of tools as a leader. Okay. So if you want any information about it, just reach out. You got this, guys.